Jaws dropped and eyes bulged as the human weapon case clicked open before the Galactic Council. John Adams stood rigid, sweat beading on his forehead under the skeptical alien glares. The council chamber was a vast circular room with tiered seating occupied by sneering extraterrestrials. Murloc, the arrogant Eliani ambassador, curled his lip at the sight of the primitive human. Earth needed this presentation to succeed. Access to the galaxy's resources and technology hung in the balance. Failure meant a slow, withering death for humanity, cut off and alone. John took a deep breath. The sleek black weapon case hummed open, bathing his face in an ominous red glow. This was Earth's last hope. This weapon had to amaze the Council, or billions would suffer. He looked up at the alien faces and began to speak. John reached into the weapon case, his fingers wrapping around the grip of the sleek firearm. He lifted it out, holding it up for all to see. The gun had a matte black finish, with no visible attachments or modifications. It appeared almost too simple, especially compared to the advanced alien weaponry the Council members were accustomed to. "This weapon may look unassuming," John said, his voice echoing in the chamber, "but I assure you it is anything but. The ammunition it fires is unlike anything you've encountered before." He pressed a button on the side of the gun, and a small holographic display appeared above it. The display showed a magnified view of one of the projectiles. It was a tiny, intricate machine with miniature propulsion systems and what appeared to be a guidance system. "These are not bullets," John explained. "They are microscopic drones capable of navigating through the air and seeking out specific targets based on their DNA signature. Once locked onto a target, they will not stop until they have eliminated it." The Council members leaned forward, their interest piqued despite their initial skepticism. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as they discussed this revelation amongst themselves. "The range of this weapon far exceeds that of any known firearm in the galaxy," John continued, his confidence growing. "It can hit a target from miles away with pinpoint accuracy." Murloc, the Eliani ambassador, scoffed. "Words are cheap, human. We require proof of your claims." John nodded. "Of course, I would be happy to provide a demonstration, if you could provide a target." Murloc tapped a few buttons on his console, and a holographic image of a Craxian warrior appeared at the far end of the chamber. The Craxians were known for their resilience and durability, their thick hides resistant to most conventional weapons. John raised the gun, aiming at the hologram. The chamber fell silent as he squeezed the trigger. There was a soft hiss as the projectile was launched, barely visible as it streaked through the air. The Council watched, transfixed, as the tiny drone weaved and bobbed, adjusting its course to avoid the various obstacles in the chamber. It flew with purpose, homing in on its target with unwavering precision. The projectile struck the holographic Craxian right between the eyes. The hologram flickered and vanished, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. "As you can see," John said, lowering the weapon, "the projectile is capable of navigating around obstacles and striking its target with surgical precision. But that's not all." He turned to face the Council, his expression grave. "The true potential of this weapon lies in its ability to neutralize entire armies with minimal collateral damage. Each projectile can be programmed to target specific individuals based on their genetic code. Imagine being able to eliminate a hostile force without harming civilians or allies." The Council erupted into a flurry of excited chatter. They bombarded John with questions about the weapon's development, its limitations, and its potential applications. Murloc's eyes narrowed as he stood, his imposing figure drawing the attention of the entire council chamber. He glared at John, his skepticism evident in his tone. "Your demonstration was impressive, human, but it proves nothing. A hologram is hardly a real-world test." John met Murloc's gaze, his own resolve unwavering. "What would you suggest, Ambassador?" Murloc's lips curled into a sneer. "A true test of your weapons capabilities. The Zorgians have taken over a mining colony on Zathis. They are brutal, well-armed, and protected by advanced personal shields. Our own forces have struggled to subdue them. If your weapon is as effective as you claim, you should have no trouble neutralizing them. The other council members murmured amongst themselves, some nodding in agreement with Murlock's proposal. John considered the challenge for a moment before responding. I accept. I will prove the worth of this weapon by dealing with the Zorgians myself. The council quickly made arrangements for John's transport to Zathis, assigning a small team of observers from various species to ensure the integrity of the test. John found himself seated in a sleek alien spacecraft, his weapon case securely stored beside him. The observers, a mix of curious and skeptical faces, kept a close eye on him throughout the journey. Upon landing at the mining colony, John and his team were greeted by the local security force. The chief of security, a grizzled Varaxian with a scar running down his face, briefed them on the situation. The Zorgians have taken the workers hostage. They're demanding a massive ransom, and they've got the firepower to back up their threats. We've been unable to get close due to their damned shields. John nodded, absorbing the information. How many insurgents are we dealing with? Around 50, all heavily armed. They're spread throughout the colony, using the workers as human shields. John opened his weapon case, revealing the sleek firearm within. He checked the ammunition and made sure the targeting system was functioning properly. I'll need the genetic signatures of the Zorgians. One of the council observers, a slender Etherian with iridescent scales, stepped forward. We have the data you require. I will upload it to your weapons system. With the weapon primed and the Zorgians' genetic data loaded, John set out towards the colony. As he approached the perimeter, he activated the weapon's stealth mode. The gun shimmered and seemed to disappear, blending seamlessly with the environment. John crept forward, his eyes scanning for any sign of the insurgents. He spotted a group of 3 Zorgians patrolling near the colony's entrance, their weapons at the ready. John raised his own weapon, aiming carefully. He squeezed the trigger, and 3 projectiles whispered through the air. The Zorgians crumpled to the ground, their shields flickering and failing as the microscopic drones penetrated their defenses. John moved on, systematically eliminating the insurgents one by one. The weapon's targeting system proved flawless, guiding each projectile to its intended target with pinpoint precision. The council observers watched from a nearby ship, their eyes glued to the screens displaying John's progress. They gasped and murmured as they witnessed the human single-handedly taking down the Zorgians, his weapon cutting through their shields as if they were paper. Within minutes the colony was secure, the hostages unharmed, and the Zorgians neutralized. John emerged from the colony, his weapon held loosely at his side. The observers rushed to meet him, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief. As John stepped out of the colony, the weapon held loosely at his side, the council observers rushed to meet him. Their faces were a mix of awe and disbelief, having witnessed the human single-handedly neutralize the Zorgian insurgents with his revolutionary weapon. They quickly relayed the news back to the Galactic Council, their voices trembling with excitement and a hint of fear. In the council chamber, the members sat in stunned silence as they processed the information. Murlock's holographic image flickered to life before John, the Eliani ambassador's expression a mix of grudging respect and calculation. "Impressive work, human," Murlock said, his voice dripping with false praise. "Your weapon has proven its worth. However, I must admit that the Eliani have been developing a similar technology, albeit with limited success due to the lack of certain materials and manufacturing techniques." John's eyes narrowed, sensing the ambassador's ulterior motives. Murlock continued, "I propose a deal. In exchange for the schematics and production rights to your weapon, the Eliani will sponsor Earth's entry into the Galactic Council and provide you with access to our most advanced technologies and resources." John paused, weighing the offer. He knew that Earth needed allies and resources to survive in the galactic community, but handing over the weapon's secrets to the Eliani felt like a dangerous gamble. He excused himself and contacted his superiors on Earth, seeking their guidance. After a brief discussion, John returned to face Murlock's hologram. "Earth is willing to share the weapon's schematics, but under specific conditions. We will retain control over its production and distribution, ensuring that it is not misused or falls into the wrong hands. Additionally, we demand a permanent seat on the Galactic Council, guaranteeing that our voice is heard in all future decisions affecting the galaxy. Murlock's face contorted with frustration, but he knew that without access to the human technology, the Ileani's own weapon development would remain years behind. Reluctantly, he agreed to John's terms, his holographic image flickering out with a curt nod. As news of the agreement spread throughout the Council, a murmur of unease rippled through the chamber. Some species expressed concerns that the humans might use their newfound influence to dominate the galaxy, while others feared that the weapon's existence could spark a new arms race among the Council members. John, sensing the growing tensions, stepped forward to address the Council. "I understand your concerns, and I propose a solution. Let us form a joint task force with representatives from each species to oversee the weapon's production and deployment. Together, we can ensure that it is used only for the greater good of the galaxy to maintain peace and protect the innocent." The Council members exchanged glances, considering John's proposal. Slowly, nods of agreement began to emerge, as the representatives recognized the wisdom in his words. The path ahead would be challenging, but with cooperation and trust, the galaxy could enter a new era of unity and prosperity. As the Council members took their seats, a hush fell over the chamber. John stood before them, his shoulders squared and his gaze unwavering. "I propose the formation of a joint task force, with representatives from each species to oversee the weapons production and deployment. Together we can ensure it is used only for the greater good of the galaxy." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. The Council voted and the motion passed. John was appointed as the task force's leader, a role he accepted with a solemn nod. As the task force began its work, John found himself navigating a labyrinth of political agendas. Murlock and his Ileani allies pushed for the weapon to be mass-produced, seeking to strengthen their own position within the Council. Others, like the wise Etherian representative, argued for caution and restraint. Tensions simmered, threatening to boil over. Then a new crisis emerged. An urgent message from the Council's long-range sensors. A massive fleet, belonging to the ancient Khuzar race, had entered the galaxy. The Khuzar, technologically superior and long thought extinct, broadcast a chilling ultimatum. Surrender control of the galaxy to us or face annihilation. The Council erupted into chaos. Some called for immediate surrender, while others demanded a military response. Amidst the shouting, John's voice cut through. "The Khuzar's technology is far beyond ours. We cannot hope to match them in direct confrontation, but perhaps there is another way." He outlined a plan, daring and unconventional. "We can use my weapons targeting system to deliver a payload of nanites into the Khuzar fleet. These nanites, once inside, will disable their ships and weapons. It's risky, but it may be our only chance." As the task force hurried to prepare, Murlock pulled John aside. In hushed tones, he revealed the Ileani's secret. They had been in communication with the Khuzar, hoping to forge an alliance. "Join us," Murlock urged, "and you will have a place of power in the new order." John recoiled, his face twisting with disgust. "I will not be part of your treachery." He marched into the Council chamber and laid bare the Ileani's betrayal. In the ensuing uproar, Murlock and his co-conspirators were arrested, their schemes unraveled. United under John's leadership, the task force set out to confront the Khuzar. As they approached the enemy fleet, the Khuzar opened fire. Ships exploded. Lives were lost. In the chaos, John gave the order: "Deploy the nanites." It was a desperate gamble, but as the nanites infiltrated the Khuzar ships, something extraordinary happened. One by one, the enemy vessels went dark, their weapons falling silent. The nanites had worked. The Khuzar, suddenly vulnerable, had no choice but to surrender. In the aftermath, John was hailed as a savior, the man who had defeated the Khuzar and rooted out the Council's traitors. But as he stood before the cheering crowds, he felt only emptiness. The weapon, his creation, had become the galaxy's most powerful force. It would forever be a source of temptation, a potential catalyst for conflict. And so, John made a decision. He strode into the council chamber and announced his resignation. I cannot be part of an organization that relies on the threat of violence to maintain peace. The true strength of humanity, of any species, lies in our ability to unite, to understand one another. We must find a new path, one that does not depend on weapons of mass destruction. With those words, he turned and walked away, leaving behind a stunned silence. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.